Shalom, my friends. Welcome to another Walk in the Word. I'm out by the main thoroughfare, and it's surprisingly quiet because it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thanksgiving Day. And you know, everybody's pigging out right now, I guess. So anyway, I figured let me come out, get a walk in the Word done, and you know, it's, the temperatures are getting colder. It's not too bad right now, but I'm wondering, when it's really cold, I'm not going to want to go out, I don't like cold, and I have a general MO of if it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. Anyway, boy, it's amazing. Late November. It seems to me we just started October. I'm seeing big changes. I started to walk in the Word, I think it was around May. And I was talking then about time speeding up, and had just done a study in the book of Zephaniah, where it talked about the quickening. Well, since May, and in May, I was amazed at how obvious it was that the days were getting shorter. I didn't quite understand it like I do now, because recently I heard Chuck Missler saying that science has determined for a fact that the speed of light is slowing down, and that creates an effect of more things happening in a shorter space of time than what used to be. For us, that interprets as it seems like the days are going faster. And I'm certainly seeing that. But that was back in May. Now I keep thinking about this thing about the speed of light has been slowing down since the beginning of time. And what does it mean? It means that we are approaching the end of time. The Word talks about that in Revelation, I'm sure, if not other places. And the closer we get to the second coming of Yeshua, the more this is going to accelerate. The more the speed of light is going to slow down, and perhaps to a stop. And for us, everything's going to speed up. But I'm seeing something else too. Not just that everything is speeding up, but everything's getting more intense. How do I put it? I don't know how to put it. The events of people's daily lives are getting more confused and mixed up and crazy. I don't know about you, but I can tell you that the people's lives I'm familiar with are all in a state of unpredictable flux. That's a good way of putting it, I think. Everything's getting weird. Everything's getting kind of strange. It's all ramping up, and you know, the what do we call them? Trolls? The lunatics. Oh, that sun is too bright. Let me try crossing the street here. Yeah, the trolls. I used to think trolls were, you know, like little, what do you call them? Like, I don't know, wicked dwarfs or something? But somebody mentioned recently that trolls are those people who go trolling. Like somebody will be in a boat fishing and they just throw a hook over the back and they let it drag behind them, trying to hook something. Whatever, you know, the trolls are these people who they'll see a title of a video, assume they know what it's about, and they'll come in and post, you know, comments of darkness, Satan's pawns, and that's ramping up in some crazy ways too. But let me tell you, Vimeo, you know, I don't have to watch Vimeo. Vimeo's a private place. And we might get a strange one or two, maybe once a year. That's easy to deal with. But on YouTube's like the open marketplace, you know. There's like more trolls hanging around than serious people. And I comb through the comments on YouTube very regularly. To me, YouTube and Vimeo are pastures where Yeshua's sheep come to feed at Elohim's table, which I'm in charge of. I look at it as my flock, and I take it very seriously. And I'm riding fence, so to speak, all the time. When I put a new video out, I'm checking it every couple of hours, and I see people doing silly things. I delete their comments. If I'm not sure, I'll just delete the comment, wait and see what happens. If I am sure, then I just block them. But I'm always riding fence around Yeshua's sheep. I take my ministry very seriously, and I can be very stern. I am very stern about it. Some people don't like it. In fact, last week on the news, a couple of people were saying that I was being judgmental. I imagine if I said Satan was full of darkness, they would say I was being judgmental too. People that have opinions like that, I couldn't possibly care less about their opinions. Couldn't possibly care less about what they think they're saying. I just block them, forget it completely about them, and move on. I know what I'm doing, and I'm sure about it. And I can promise you that I will never fail you in terms of the word of Yahweh. Not because I think I'm anything special, but because I know that Yahweh, my Elohim, is faithful and true. I know He's got my back. And if I'm doing anything right, I believe I'm doing everything right. It's because of Him, not because of me. It's because I do everything under strong prayer and fellowship with Elohim before I ever get in front of any camera. Those of you who are in love with the message that Elohim presents through me, you know what I'm talking about. The rest don't matter. They're deaf, dumb, and blind. They're not interested. And it's only because they are not being called. And why aren't they being called? Because Abba knows their heart. So, but, my point is, things are getting crazier, man. The time is moving faster. The chaos is growing more intense. And people, some are becoming more loving, some are becoming more hateful, and they don't even know why. They're attacking, they're angry, they're not happy, and they don't know what to do about it, so they attack. And we can't help them. You can't help anyone who is not asking for help. If they're not asking, then you have nothing to say. And if you do say things, you will have said nothing because they didn't ask. They're not listening. They're not open to it. Time is speeding up as light is slowing down. Everything is escalating, and we are heading towards the door. For some, it's a precious door. The door is Yeshua, and that means the Net Chetef. For others, it's a door that's closed, and they have to turn and walk this other path into indescribable darkness, chaos, confusion, like the world has never known before. It's an amazing time to be witnessing. Now, we've been talking about the Net Chetef, the rapture, the harpazo. I'm convinced at this point in time that the doctrine of imminence is what I will be supporting from this day forward, because prior to September this year, I always supported the idea that the Net Chetef would happen on Yom Teruah, the Feast of Trumpets. Makes sense for a lot of reasons. I have videos on it that you can watch, and I've said recently I'm still convinced, and I've said a couple of times, some people might think it's a crazy statement, but think about it. I wouldn't be surprised if if the Net Chetef happened after Yom Teruah, and we got to paradise and discovered that we arrived in paradise before we left, and that in paradise we were celebrating Yom Teruah. Look, Elohim is outside of time. We can't grasp that, we might think that's kind of a crazy, like, Alan, what are you, nuts? We arrived there before we left here? How is that possible? It's possible because we're outside of time at that point. And it seems crazy to you because you can't imagine what it's like to be outside of time. I know I can't. It's a crazy concept to try and get a hold of. But nonetheless, 2017, and when I started the walk on the Word back in May, I was shouting about that. This year is crazy, man. There's never been so many signs in any given year. Certainly not in our lifetimes. And 2017, we saw so many signs that I'm convinced the announcement has been made of the woman in the Revelation 12, the great sign of the woman birthing two kinds of children. One is birthed before the day of Yahweh's wrath. The other one is birthed during the tribulation, the day of Yahweh's wrath and Yeshua's wrath. The announcement is made. That means it's done. We are on the other side of it. And the fact that we haven't seen it the way we expect, when will we ever learn that anything Elohim does is never as we expect, ever? But we're on the other side of that, so now I'm saying it can happen in any moment. And I'm also supporting the doctrine of imminence because it's the only doctrine that creates the proper heart condition to be taken in the Nechatef. You have to be ready. Look at the parable of the 10 maidens, 10 virgins. If you haven't watched my video on that, go type it in the search tool on my YouTube channel and watch it. 5 met the bridegroom and went in. The door was closed. The other 5, they weren't ready. They came back, the door was closed. The bridegroom came and says, I never even knew you. And if you think the rapture is not going to happen for another year, then between now and then you're not going to be ready. And that's those are the 5 foolish virgins. And I don't want you to be that way. So the doctrine of imminence is to be embraced. He could come before I finish this sentence. Oops. Okay, maybe he'll come before I finish this. All right, stop it. But he can come today, tonight, tomorrow, anytime. And we need to be ready for that. Yeah. I think we'll call that a walk in the Word. Shalom, my friends. Let's not forget. Keep your wicks trimmed. And keep your lamp burning bright. Shalom, my friends.